All right, you've heard this back and forth about business owners who have their funds confiscated because they made certain withdrawals, and it got to be a big deal because a lot of businesses were ensnared in something they were just doing in the conduct of their business. Well, now we've got Lizzie Macdonald here to report on how far and widespread this was at a time when some bipartisan lawmakers are demanding the IRS just return this money. What was going on?
So, yeah, what was going on is there's this law that says, you know what, if you make less than $10,000 in bank deposits or withdrawals, then your bank has to report that activity to the federal government, because the federal government is trying to crack down on, drug traffickers, money launderers, terrorists even. But what was happening is these companies that operate, small businesses that have a lot of cash-only transactions, they were doing that. They were doing it below $10,000 and getting caught. And so the IRS was sort of doing this thing where it sort of seized the money first, seized the bank account first, and then asked questions later. So these small businesses literally were getting impoverished and nearly bankrupted by the IRS. The IRS is sitting on the money. And now we've got a group of congressmen, Republicans, and even Democrats like Charlie Rangel sending a letter to the Treasury Secretary saying, you know what, enough. Give these small business people their money back. The IRS is being abusive and is wrongfully seizing their money.
All right, now we have some fellow, and I want you in this mix, obviously, Lizzie. Randy Sowers, South Mountain Creamery owner, you're just trying to make money in the farms and what have you. They confiscate your funds, and I guess you won, but they still have close to 40 grand of your money. Explain what happened.
Well, we do a lot of farmers markets, and we have a store on the farm where we collect a lot of cash, and we were depositing that money on Mondays in an account. Actually, my wife went to the bank one day and had more than 10, and they said, if you keep us under 10, then we don't have to fill out all this paperwork. So that's basically what she did for 32 weeks. Not because we normally had more than 10, it's because, that's what they asked her to do. And sometime in February, about 3 years ago, the Treasury Department shows up with two agents here one day asking me, about my checking account. And I had no problem talking to them. I thought someday, the government might show up and want to know where we got the money, but I didn't have any reservations about talking to them, because we claim it all, we deposit it all. I mean, we do what we're supposed to do.
Well, Randy, what did they say when they first came to you? That they thought something weird was going on, that you were hiding money? What?
No, they just said that they wanted to talk to me about the account, and when they got to the question where the money came from, and I said, sometimes we have $12,000, $14,000 a week that we have to deposit, and then they've pretty much stopped asking questions because, that was more than 12, and they never saw that we deposited, 12,000, and they kind of stopped the questions and told me that they had seized my account of $65,000.
So, Randy,
they told me at the time that.
Right, go ahead, Randy.
They told me at the time, these two agents, and they were nice. I had nothing against them. They were doing their job. And they said, we can see you're not a money launderer or a drug dealer. You have a legitimate business here. But, since it's gone this far, it has to go the rest of the way. And they, gave me the court date for my hearings and everything, and said, if you want to defend yourself, you're going to have to do this.
So, Randy, it's Liz Macdonald here. So they took, I think, around $29,500. They're keeping, as Neil said, nearly $40,000. What happened when you spoke to the local press, a reporter, about this?
Well, actually, they took $65,000 is what they originally took, and they kept 29 of it. My lawyers said I shouldn't talk to the press, but I told everybody that at farmers markets what had happened to us, because I was pretty upset about it. But I got a call from a Baltimore City paper, and he asked about the court docs and wanted to know if I'd make a comment on it. And I said, I'd really like to tell you the story, but, my lawyers say I shouldn't until we get this thing settled. And he said, well, I'm going to write this story that don't look good in your favor if I just go by the government record. So I told him the whole story, and he did a really good job. And after that point in time, they, pressured me a little harder, and, said because I went to the press, I had to go through different things that we knew people in the same situation didn't have to go through.
Well, bottom line, they still have all this money here. Is there any chance you get it back? It's your money. You did nothing wrong.
I did nothing wrong, and hopefully by the, getting this out in the public. And, you know, I did testify for House Ways and Means, and Wrangle was there, and they were all upset. And for them, you know, requesting or pretty much demanding to give me my money back, I hope I get it back. But I hope everybody else gets their money back too. I mean, we were all falsely accused, and they had no, you know, they didn't care whether you went out of business because of it or not. It wasn't, you know, a concern of theirs.
Randy, I don't know how you deal with it, but you did, and with a good upper lip here. But, you know, Lizzie, I'm looking at his plight and what happened. We're all focused on the IRS and overreaches in other areas. This is just wanton crazy.
And this has been a problem that's been going on since the late 80s, at least when I started covering the IRS. We were reporting on these cases. It's mind-boggling that this is still going on.
Ask questions later.
Yeah, that's right. And the IRS, by the way, the commissioner did apologize before Congress at a hearing. They said they were going to change the rules. Department of Justice said we're not going to do this anymore. They're still sitting on the money. And the incentive for them is the IRS gets to keep a cut of that money. So then you have this dragnet of all these multi-agency task forces throughout the government saying, you know what, we're just going to go after these types of things to, you know, basically because it helps our budgets.
Incredible.
That can happen.
All right, good reporting, Lizzie. Randy, hang in there, my friend. Can't believe it. It happens. But man, oh man, your IRS. These are your tax dollars at work.